Uhuru, and welcome to this live episode of Reparations in Action. My name is Jamie Simpson, and I am the host of Reparations in Action. Reparations in Action, also known as White Lies Shattered, is a program of white solidarity with Black power. And as I said, my name is Jamie Simpson. We are coming to you live today. And this is a live webinar that is part of the July member drive for Black Power 96.3. And we encourage you to like this stream and share it widely, whether you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, or you can let people know to listen to it on Black Power 96.3 WBPU LP St. Petersburg. So as we come to you today live on YouTube and simultaneously broadcasting live on Black Power 96.3, part of the July member drive, we're doing so in a context. Black Power 96 is making a very important struggle to win $100,000 in grant funding that is being denied to the station and being denied to the African People's Education and Defense Fund. The denial of this funding is an unconstitutional attack on the Black community's right to freedom of speech. The station has hired a lawyer to help win back these resources that the station qualifies for and deserves and needs. These are resources that are urgently needed at this Black community radio station, really the only radio station in this area and indeed in the country and the world that explicitly serves the African working class. And this show that you're tuning into right now, Reparations in Action, is a show of white solidarity with Black power, white people in solidarity with reparations. We believe that reparations is the key question of our times. And I want to welcome onto the show, first of all, a regular guest on Reparations in Action and the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, Penny Hess, as well as our other co-host for today, a wonderful member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and a part of the Reparations in Action team, and that's Comrade Brendan. Uhuru, and welcome to Reparations in Action, Penny and Brendan.
Uhuru, Jamie, I'm so excited to be here today. Very, very wonderful to be able to be on Black Power 96.3 FM there in St. Petersburg, Florida, but all over, broadcasting all over the world through its app. And really want to salute Comrade Brendan, who's with me here in St. Louis. I appreciate your summation on what it is that we're facing and how this very brutal colonial state wants to shut down the voice of the African working class, and a voice that's calling for power in the hands of the African working class in St. Pete and all around the world. And I just really want to welcome everybody who's here today. I want to really call on everyone to go to blackpower96.org/donate and donate. We need to bring in our little $1,000 today, and we're going to be calling on people to go ahead and put these resources in to be able to know that Black Power 96 is going to be strong. It's going to be the voice of the African working class heard around the world. And before we start and bring on our very powerful next guest, I do want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who is the leader of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement, and know that he will be on a little bit later in the show. So that is very, very exciting. And also wanted to salute Director Akile Anayi, who is the coordinator of the party's info ed and agitprop department that includes this incredible radio station. I want to say that, to say briefly, I want to also salute the memory of Matulu Shakur, an African political prisoner in the United States who passed away today. He was a founder of the Lincoln Detox Center in Harlem in the 1960s and 70s, which was a center using acupuncture, which he was an acupuncturist, successfully for the African community facing forced addiction due to the deadly heroin that the US government brought into the US from its colonial wars in Vietnam and Southeast Asia as part of the counterinsurgency being waged against the African Liberation Movement itself inside this country. And Matulu was a political prisoner inside this brutal colonial prisons for more than 36 years. He was just released last December because he was very ill, and they let him out only because of that, and due to the large number of demands for his freedom. So again, I want to call on everybody today to donate to blackpower96.org/donate. I'm going to turn it over to Comrade Brendan.
Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, with that, we are ready to get started. I'm very honored to bring on one of our first special guest, the station manager of Black Power 96.3 FM in St. Petersburg, Florida, Uhuru, Mr. Eddie.
Uhuru, Mr. Eddie, so wonderful to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. Reparations in Action, White Lives Shattered. Thank you so much for having me.
Uhuru. So just to get us started, can you tell us about yourself and how you got involved with Black Power 96?
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. I St. Petersburg, Florida, and I was downtown for like 35 years as a street musician. The station that was broadcasting came to life here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Something I could do because I had always been praying to God. What am I outside in the cold, in the rain? So I heard of this station and I came to fill out an application. They said this is the criteria, and I filled the application out, and they were like, "You're 100% blind, but if you give me opportunity, I believe I can do it. I really do." And so they did give me opportunity, and I'm so glad it was meant for me. When I came here, when it said Black Power, it just was all over me. As station manager, Elijah, could you get that phone to system manager to manager for me? It was, God answered a lot of prayer for me in my life. And this prayer is definitely one that I asked for and did not know anything.
Uhuru, we're having a little bit of hard time hearing you.
And I remember him of that. My mother used to listen to him on the radio. So, that it's just a long journey, but I appreciate so far where I am. Uhuru.
Yeah.
Uhuru, station manager Eddie, just want to say it's really an honor to have you on Reparations in Action today. We really appreciate your leadership at the station, at this station that is not just explaining the world, but changing it. Can you talk to us a little bit about your role as station manager at Black Power 96?
Okay, Jimmy, I'm sorry, I got cut out. I heard a little. Could you repeat that for me, please?
Yeah, I was just asking if you could describe to us what what your role of station manager at Black Power 96. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. Well, it's constantly busy here at 96.3 FM. I say it all the time. I'm the hardest working man in radio because I work really, really hard. Even I have the Saturday off, but even on Saturdays, I try to get out in the public and tell the people about this radio station. It's a wonderful station. It's a community radio station that is broadcasting live out of St. Pete, but we're heard across everywhere, all over the nation. We're heard across everywhere, and people can download the app. It's absolutely free at the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and the work is relentless, as the chairman would say, relentless work. Because even on my day off, when I'm out and about, and I do a broadcast, a live broadcast throughout the city at the various stores or places that we can set up and broadcast. I say it to the people in the public. When it comes to getting the people free, never a day off for me, and I don't want it to be a day off for me if I can help my people get free out of this colonial system, out of this so-called freedom that they have here in the United States. Is not freedom for Black people. And Jamie and Penny and Brandon, you guys know that because you're under the leadership of the African people, and you know what's right because you are on the right side of liberation. You are on the right side of democracy. What you know, the United States say forget their own democracy. We see that all the time. So this job is not about just playing music for me. It's about getting the message out of the chairman Omali Yeshitela, leader of the African nation, leader of the international movement, Uhuru Movement. Uhuru means freedom. And we're fighting for freedom. And that's the way we do at this radio station. We're in the middle of raising funds. Jamie, you guys are raising funds today. And I want the people to raise funds. I want them to go where necessary to go to donate. Because we cannot do this without the people. It's the people's station. It's not my station. It's not your station. It belongs to the people. And that makes my job hard. That makes my job hard because I'm trying to get to the people, Jamie. Uhuru.
Uhuru. That's absolutely right, 100%. Now you talk about being on the right side of this fight. I know the station has recently come under some attacks, and that's why we're doing this today. We're trying to raise money to fight back against this. Can you go into some detail about these attacks the station has come under?
Yes, the station has come under attack. It started an attack in July of last year, and it was a test run when brother got a man got in the car and came up and started burning the flag here at the Uhuru House that's located here in St. Petersburg, Florida. The red, black, and green flag, our freedom flag, and just with a military flamethrower, just start burning the flag. And I got a call immediately, Jamie Penny. I got a call immediately. Eddie, I'm sitting in a van and somebody trying to burn y'all flag. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. So immediately, I'm only living 2-3 minutes away from the station. I used to live about 2-3 miles out, but I was so dedicated to the station that I moved as close as I could, 2 minutes away, and I was here in 4 minutes. And I went on the air. I had to call the chairman, and I called the leadership here. I couldn't reach anybody at that certain time. So I just went on the air and started broadcasting. You know, we're coming under attack because I want the people to know, because the people have the right to know what's going on in this movement, what's going on with this radio station, so they can come out and fight like they did in 1996, the Battle of St. Pete. They came out and protected what's ours. That's what we have to do. We have to protect it, not only raise funds, but protect it. And so I got a call in I believe July, and saying, hello, this is the FBI. Are you in the station, Mr. Maultsby? I said, who is this? He says, this is Andrew from the FBI. Are you in the station? I said, no, but I'm on my way. What's the problem? He said, oh, we have a warrant to come into the station, come into the Uhuru House. I said, well, I'll be there in a couple of minutes, but let me call my leadership. When I did, I called Shimbaranga Wala, and I called him. He said, no, Eddie, don't go. I was on my way because I fear not the FBI. I fear not any entity that's going to bring force against this station. I'll be right here waiting, because that's the to do what I can do to liberate my people. And again, the FBI called me, and before I could get off the phone with Shimbaranga, they were busting in because they knew I was getting ready to call maybe reinforcements. And that's one of the questions the FBI agent asked me, how many people are you planning to call? And I said, I'm calling my leadership. He hung up. And before I could know, 2 minutes later, Janice Kent was calling me, say, Mr. Eddie, are you having trouble with your code? I said, no, Janice, we're under attack at the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida. And at the same time, they were on attack, the chairman in St. Louis and Director Kile Adnaya. Shameful, but true.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you, DJ Eddie, for sharing,
yes,
you know, your firsthand experience. I remember well both those days. You know, I'm also based here in St. Petersburg, as you know, and of course, Chairwoman Penny and Comrade Brendan, you were both there in St. Louis, where things were also unfolding. And these attacks have continued, right?
Yes.
It doesn't always come in the form of the federal government, although that has been a big part of it. It sometimes comes in the
Yes.
form of the Pinellas County Commission denying a grant to the station,
Yes.
and trying to claim that somehow the grant to the station is for things, not people, which is just ridiculous. And you have been tremendous in representing this station and what it does for the African community here in St. Petersburg and around the world. I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts on that, on
Yes.
ways in which Black Power 96 serves the African community.
Well, several ways, Jimmy, but I want to go back to something you said just a few seconds ago about the FBI having an attack in the Pinellas County. They all work hand in hand, Jimmy. Let's make no mistake about that. This is when the FBI comes from you, it's a trickle down effect from Pinellas County to the St. Pete Police Department to every arm of the branches in this United States fight. They're going to use everything they possibly can, even trying to take our banking accounts away, holding us, whatever entity they can use, they're going to use, and make no doubt about it. When the government comes, they come all the way from the top to the bottom. So even your friends and next door neighbors could be infiltrated with one of the persons that wants to take you out and hurt you. I get a knock on the door, bang, bang, bang. I'm not sure if it's somebody coming to say, hey, hi, give, or somebody say, hey, hi, come to take you out. But I'm not afraid of that, Jim. If we're going to be afraid of what this government is going to do for us, we're in the wrong field. You're in the wrong fight. You're in the wrong fight. I want to continue to fight, be like Omali Yeshitela, and continue to not want to get to the Pinellas County Commission. As manager, I sat in some of those Zoom conferences, hours, sitting in front. The first day of trying to get this grant, and let's remind the people, it was a grant from the COVID-19 relief fund. So if you had been impacted by COVID-19 as a form of losing revenue or income resources for your business, then you are entitled for this fund, for this grant. And we had a stellar, rated out of 55 applicants, we rated number 4. You can say that's stellar. Number in the top 4 saying yes, approval. And on November 14th of last year, we were approved. I prayed, I was happy. I was gonna thank God that my people can keep a radio station and we can expand the station, raise the antenna possibly, do all that we can so that Black people everywhere in this country, not only through the app, but through the FM dial, because on the FM dial, we cover 150,000 households. But it would be nice to cover 600,000 households or 1 million. This is the power. And so when they denied the grant in February, and let's say the day they did it was on February 14th. That reminds me of another efficient day. And I don't want to get into that because I'll get a little lost from what I'm saying. But the holiday of where you should be showing people love, they had no love for Black people or African people. On that day, February 14th, they had a closed session and said, we're not going to give the check out to Black Power because it's not needed. We don't need a Black community radio station, just as the governor is now saying we don't need Black history in our schools for our people. Black young people need to know where they come from. That way they can know where they're going. And so we have to continue to fight and continue to push this station, and with any means necessary, whatever that means. I can kill the revolution. You can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. So I'm willing to die for my people. And if you're not willing to die for your people, you're in the wrong fight.
Uhuru, Mr. Eddie. So we have about 2 minutes. I just want to hear what is the community response been from these like outrageous attacks?
We have had abundance of people coming through. We put out a petition here at Black Power, and we had over 700 signatures, over about 100 or so online from people across the country. But right here in this community, about 460 some signatures being signed to say that what Pinellas County did was wrong. We stand with you. We stand in solidarity. And again, we want to keep this station on the air. Jamie, we're in the middle of raising funds right now here at Black Power. You know that, and that's what this is all about. People have been steady, knocking on the door, banging on the door, coming by. DJ Eddie, we love you. I broadcast Saturday. out at a local market here in St. Petersburg, and a young lady came up and gave me a hug, gave me a kiss, and brought a balloon. This balloon says, I know you can't see, but it says, I love J. Eddie, continue to fight. That's the kind of response we are getting.
Wow.
Good.
Wow. Uhuru.
Yeah,
Well,
and that means an awful lot, Jamie. That means an awful lot to me. I'm passionate about this station and where it's going and where it's headed. I donate myself $50 a month. And I'll be honest with the people, because people need honesty. And when I first did it, I had I said, well, $50, Eddie, you on Social Security. Can you afford $50 a month? And I knew in my heart, I probably could, but it's all a struggle for Black people. They don't make it easy for us. Gentrification, all the things they do. So, but the first month went by, second month went by. When the third month came, I didn't even miss it. I was like so grateful that I can do this, and Jamie, I don't want to take up the time. I know you said 2 minutes, but that go to show you, sometimes you just have to walk on faith and do things and know that is right.
Uhuru.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So inspiring, station manager Eddie Maultsby. That was powerful. Really appreciate.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and thank you so much. And we want to continue to raise funds for the station. If anybody listening now, you can do like I always say. Please come by. Reparations in Action. It's their show. They're raising funds. Knock knock on the door. Bang bang. Knock knock. Give your support to Black Power.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Yeah, when we just want to echo what you're saying, station manager Eddie, and really call on all those who are listening. Thank you for tuning in. We encourage you now to help us reach and exceed this $1,000 goal that we have today for Black Power 96. You can go to blackpower96.org/donate. This is part of a very important struggle to win back the $100,000 in grant funding that has been denied to this station and the African People's Education and Defense Fund. This is an unconstitutional attack on the Black community's right of freedom of speech. And so we really call on you to help keep Black Power 96 radio on the air. Go to blackpower96.org/donate. Contribute to the Black community having its own radio station. And I want to pause just to acknowledge that I see we have a very exciting guest who has just joined us. So I want to turn it over to you now, Chairwoman Penny Hess.
Uhuru, thank you, Jamie. I just really want to thank some people really quick who have donated today, including Comrade Jesse Neville. I was able to donate $100 today because I want to see this. I want to see this Black Power 96 win and be what it needs to be, and and be able to have the resources available. And I stand for reparations to the African community. Comrade Lisa is donating $100. Brendan, who's here, is donating $120. Mary Ellen from St. Petersburg, $25, and John from Redding, California, $40. Really want to thank all of you. And let's go ahead. We only have $565 to go to meet our goal. So, Uhuru, I believe Chairman Omali Yeshitela is on.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman. I hear your voice. Thank you so much for coming on. We are very, very honored to have you here with us, Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, and our leadership of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the white people under the leadership of the African Revolution, working in the white communities to win reparations, the return of the stolen resources to African people. Chairman, we just had a magnificent interview and brief discussion with station manager Eddie Maultsby. Wow, he was on fire, and that was very, very inspiring. And it's very, very fantastic. We're very honored to have you. So, Chairman.
Well, first of all, let me say, Comrade, I'm really sorry that I seem to have got the time wrong, because I would have been here for Eddie's interview. Otherwise, I mean, Ed is one of our heroes. We love it. Yeah, he does it. So Go ahead, Comrade.
Yes, no, yeah, okay.
Uhuru.
All right, so I wanted to ask you, Chairman, so almost a year ago now, on July 29, 2022, the FBI colonial state attacks on the Uhuru Movement included an army of agents, of just agents of the colonial state, descending on the Uhuru House at 1245 18th Avenue South, breaking down doors, stealing, going through everything, stealing archives and files. And they took Black Power 96.3 FM off the air, which I think is very telling, and something that also station manager Eddie mentioned. But can you just comment on that as silencing the voice of the African working class?
Thank you, Comrade Penny. I want to say two things in relationship to that. Obviously, this was an attack on the leadership of the struggle of Black people in this country, much of the world, to provide our capacity, the leadership guidance and what have you to the struggle of our people to be free. So this is an attack that was made on specifically on advanced detachment of the vanguard of that movement. So trying to help African people win liberation and trying to expose to the world the conditions that we are faced with, and allowing everybody who can, who wants to, who needs to change this world an opportunity to do so, to be heard, to support the genuine, legitimate struggle of Black people for freedom, for Black power. So obviously it was directed in that fashion, but I would also say that in general, the right of Black people to express our opinions, to share and enjoy our culture. In general, this is something that is not appreciated, not approved of by the government, which is why there's only been just a handful of Black radio stations anywhere. And those Black radio stations, of course, ended up having to rely on money coming from white corporations and what have you. So that meant that they had to be careful what they said, or what they allowed to be said on those airwaves. So there's always been this attack, this restriction on the rights of Black people, and to speak, this whole notion of Black people being able to speak without permission of the colonizers, without permission of the white man. I mean, when we think about the murder of Emmett Till, 1955, when he was at 14 years old, they based on the claim that he whistled at this white woman, which was an outlandish claim, but even if it were true, so what? But they murdered him, and this significance of that was much bigger than just than it was, I think, generally understood. It was part of the whole notion of intimidation against free speech, free expression coming from Black people. We don't have the right to freely express our views, and so I wanted to say that. And so obviously, when they target the leadership of the African revolution, the struggle of Black people to be free, to be self-governing people, to achieve the future that we envision, that Black people envision for ourselves. Obviously, it was strongly political, and it was done by a frightened entity. I mean, the slave owner is scared to death. The ones who control the rest of the world is afraid, because there seems to be a massive jailbreak that's happening around the world. Well, all around the world, people are trying to be free. And to be free, you have to talk about it. You have to help people come to different kinds of conclusions. And I think that all of us, but especially African people, have to be suspicious of anybody who would place restrictions on our ability to talk. So it was a major thing, this attack on the radio station. And but it's a failed attempt because our community has always had to get around restrictions placed on us in terms of our ability to talk. And we've seen them kill so many African leaders that shut us up. And so I'm sure that we're going to easily raise the 1,000. Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
Oh, shucks. Yeah, we should easily raise that. And people should be banging on the door. Got to remember, everybody, July 29th, they were banging on the door with battering rams to take us off the air. So come bang on the door and let Brother Eddie know that you're there with some money to help us to get to the simple goal of $1,000. I believe we can do better than that. Do that, and even while I'm talking, you can go to how's it go? It's 90 Black Power 96.org, right?
Yeah.
Black Power 96
/donate.
Black Power 96.org/donate. And you can come and knock on the door too, Brother Eddie. I almost said Brother Eddie be glad to see you, but he likes to say, I don't see anything, but I feel everything. So knock on the door and let Brother Eddie feel you, and let him feel some dead presidents too. In this instance, I'm talking about money.
Chairman.
Yeah.
So I just want to salute you and thank you for coming on and joining us today. Well, our interview with Mr. Eddie earlier, we definitely got a feel for how important the station is. But can you kind of go into detail and just explain why this station is so important and why it matters so much to the community, both in St. Petersburg and abroad?
When I was growing up, there used to be one and then two radio stations in the general area. It was very hard to get a radio station. In fact, before this period, I mean, the radio music and what have you that I was familiar with was coming from white people. And so, square dance type music, and they used to call it what it was, hillbilly music. Today they call it something like country and et cetera. But so just to have access to Black music was a very difficult thing. And this is something that's bigger than the African People's Socialist Party, or it's bigger than the Uhuru Movement. It's bigger than APEDF. It is a major thing in terms of conferring or contributing to a sense of self-worth and dignity in the African community. People know their existence, know that they exist and are valuable because that existence and value is reflected back to them and real things that happen in the world. They open the newspaper, they see their picture. I think there's a Burning Spear newspaper that helps that tells your story. You listen to music and you hear your life right there. You see it expressed. You have children who have now the ability to anticipate not only being DJs and entertainers and what have you, but actually how to manage and run radio stations and do things that go out and get the kinds of resources as a part of that process. It's just an extraordinarily institution that contributes to a community being able to experience its own value and to experience its own agency. It speaks for itself. That's a critical kind of thing for a colonized population.
Chairman, and I know that there's ongoing attacks that this movement and the station are facing as part of the overall colonial state attack against you and against the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement, and just wanted to see if you could just comment on that.
On the which?
On the ongoing attacks against the station.
Well, yeah, people, especially in St. Petersburg, but of course I know we have an app that people can listen to us all around the world, but in St. Petersburg, Florida, people know that history, and I have been arrested, I don't know how many times, all instances surrounding questions of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, because we're not supposed to be able to have free speech. We're not supposed to be able to articulate our own interests and our own aims. And so I've gone to jail so many times. They've created laws in St. Petersburg, Florida, that prohibits speech because of what we were articulating in opposition to the police or in opposition to how the government has treated our people. And I remember the newspaper that characterized itself as notoriously liberal up to date, but they had one little page, they called the Negro page or something like that, that they didn't put in all issues of that newspaper. When it came to the African communities, one page they had allocated for Black, what they call Black news and things like that. this is just a reality that we've been confronted with, and every instance of I've had some kind of confrontation with the government has been around the right to speak, what we say, the ability to articulate our own aims and also the ability to play music, to cultural expression, because at the point where we were able to control our own radio stations and things like that, at least we had some influence on what artists would say and could say, and the artists had some ability to speak to this audience. It was what they characterized as a segregated kind of audience. So a lot of African culture got expressed in these circumstances without the kind of stringent oversight of what we're saying. But as the crisis deepened, as Black people start talking more and more about freedom and saying things that white power would not appreciate, then we saw restrictions being placed on that. So you can't say just anything that you want to say. So that the majority of the music now in this so-called desegregated world, all of our music, the majority of people listen to our music are white people. The majority of people listen to hip hop are white people. The majority of all of these people now begin to help and shape and define what looks like our culture, but it's culture that's been made now expressed in a fashion that does not upset or disappoint white people or anything like that. And even if you listen to the often criticized hip hop lyrics and things like that, that speak so badly often of African women and speak so badly about how we should exist in our own lives. It's white people who are the majority of the listeners who buy that stuff. And then now the artist has to speak to what the corporations have determined of what the people want to hear. And the people want to hear with that majority in the population. So people condemn African rappers all the time about this, but they're playing for a white audience. It's the white audience and the corporations that said, this is what the audience wants to hear. This is what the fans want to hear. So artists learn to mimic and to act out in a fashion that would get them sales, that would get them on the charts and things like that. And you are not going to hear much hip hop or anything else that's talking about making the struggle to liberate our people. So you can hear all this negativism that's attributed to Black people. So we want control. We want to have the ability to express ourselves. In every instance, when we break out of the boundaries imposed on us in terms of what we can say, when we can say it, how we can say it, in every instance we do that, we run into this problem with the colonial powers in this country. And that's true around the world. So we have to fight for it. And that's why it's so important. They tried to take our radio station off the air. And we got a listener base that can make it easy for us to get this this money that we need. Our goal is a low goal. I don't know why. I think we make the goal so low that people feel like it must not be important. But the fact is, the only thing that we're trying to get $1,000 here. And so that's go and Black Power 96.org/donate and send some money right away.
Uhuru, Chairman, don't go away. We're going to come back with you. This is very, very powerful talking to you. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll be right back with Chairman Omali Yeshitela in a few minutes. But that was a powerful appeal. And just very moving about the whole question of the right of African people to express freedom of speech, the attack on you personally, the attack on the movement, and the attack on July 29th of 7 properties and homes, including your home in St. Louis and in St. Petersburg. By the FBI, this brutal attack that took place, and it's around the question of the right of African people to express your aspirations for complete and total liberation of Africa and unification of Africa and African people everywhere, which is absolutely human right. That is a profound, it's inevitable that this is going to come back out in history, that this is going to come about. So this is what we're talking about today. And we want to thank some some more people who have donated, including Sandy out in Everett, Washington, Uhuru, Jamie, who's on with us today, who is renewing his sustaining membership, Comrade Ember in Oakland, $10, and Comrade Ann in Waterloo, Illinois. And I did mention John, but yes, thank you again, John in Redding, California.
And
so very exciting. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I just wanted to remind everyone, if you agree, if you align with everything, Mr. Eddie's been saying, if everything the chairman's been saying, and Chairwoman Penny, you can go to blackpower96.org/donate. Again, that is blackpower96.org/donate. If you would rather use Cash App, you can send it to $blackpower96. And if you don't have access to the internet, you can mail a check to Black Power 96, 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33705.
Great.
So,
Great. Thank you for putting that out. And just to say that so far we have raised $570. We have $430 to go. We can do this. This is, as the chairman has said, very, very low amount to raise, and we want to call on everybody who's out there listening to put in everything possible. We only need $430 to go to meet our goal of $1,000 today. So, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, thank you again so much for being on with us today. And just to reiterate that we are members of the African People's Solidarity Committee, myself and Jamie and Brendan, and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, two organizations of white people who are organized under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party with the strategic mandate to go into the white community to win other white people just like ourselves and to organize for reparations to African people. Chairman, talking about the question of reparations, we know that you and the African People's Socialist Party are the forces that made reparations the household word that indeed it is today. And very shortly, a new book is coming out called The Verdict Is In, Reparations Now. So I just wanted you to talk about the significance of the reparations demand, the party's historic role in that, and the significance of this new book coming out.
Thank you, Comrade Penny. We first published Reparations Now, which is a rather abbreviated report and abbreviated testimony that came from the World Tribunal on Reparations for Black people in the United States, for the first International Tribunal on Reparations for Black people in the United States, and that was in 1982. And it was an extraordinarily powerful event because up to that point, there had been no mass movement, organized movement for reparations. There have been clusters of African people who were doing specific things, some coming from different ideological perspectives. The one thing that was unifying was the demand for reparations, a general recognition by most people who were active in our community, certainly people who were active in that part of our movement that we've characterized as one for self-determination or against colonialism or self-government. The reparations has always been something that we've recognized was necessary. And that distinguished this kind of movement from movements that did not believe in self-government and never created even an economic institution that would contribute to the ability of our people to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. So it became clear to us that if reparations were to occur, it was going to have to be a consequence of the people being brought into the equation, that the people are the fundamental thing that have to be involved. And that was one. Two, up to the time we got involved with the question of reparations, reparations was something they said that was simply owed us for slavery. And because we were enslaved for a number of years, therefore, we need to get paid for slavery. And our position on that is, of course, that reparations are owed not just for slavery, but but more money and resources have been ripped off from us subsequent to slavery than even before. I mean, if you just go for slavery, then who pays for all of the loot that was taken as a consequence of B.B. King and Ray Charles and Little Richard and all these other people who brought all this culture and stuff that's made billions and billions of dollars for white corporations and white people, et cetera, where some of the most extraordinary cultural workers of our communities have died in starvation, have lived under this horrible circumstance. So the reparations question for us was bigger than something simply owed us for slavery. It's owed us for Tyrone Lewis in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Mike Brown in St. Louis, Missouri, and all of the offenses that's committed against our people, the early deaths that we experienced. Here we have African people, some of the greatest athletes in the whole world, and if you don't believe it, just watch an Olympics Olympics, and you will see that. But having a lifespan in the United States, something like 6 to 7 years shorter than white people. So that's stolen life. How do you quantify that in terms of what is owed to Black people? So reparations is a fundamentally important question. And the other thing that made reparations so important is because it was during a time when the whole white population had united around various politicians and economists who were blaming Black people for the state of the economy, saying somehow the American economy was doing bad or white people were doing bad because they had to pay welfare to Black people. And it had a whole movement on the defensive, people who were professors writing books and things like that that were designed to show how our community was what they call as actually some kind of an ill community, a sick, a pathological kind of community. And people wrote books and made money off that, talking about how we were the drag on the economy. The white people and the government had to pay welfare to Black people, and the reparations demand arms this community, takes it away from this demoralizing situation of being defined as a drag on the economy, and proves that there would be no economy except for what African people have created in this country on Indian people's land. And second, it's not we who live off the welfare of white people and the government, but white people and the government have lived off the welfare of African people. This removes Black people from this very demoralized kind of a situation, allows us to take the offensive in the struggle for our freedom. And so that's one of the reasons so important, and that we organize masses of people to come into this reparation question. And when we say the people, obviously we talk about African people, the people. So we're saying that's not the government, and which is not to say the government does not owe us, it does. Not the corporations owe us, and they do, and they have to pay back. But the people become involved in this incredibly important question. And white people have an opportunity to make a self-criticism and to reunite with the rest of humanity with the reparations payment that comes as well. So I think it's really important work that we've done around this question of reparations, and the book, get the book, because the newly released book has more, as I mentioned, more testimony, longer testimony in some instances, new forwards and introductions and things like this from some of the really critical forces that participated at that time, and some people who did not. So get that book. It's a really important historic book. It's that's coming out now. That tribunal happened in 1982.
Yeah.
And so it's 2023 now that this book comes out, and it's historic. So get that book and be the first to get it. And also you should donate right now. Get the book, but donate right now. Go to blackpower96.org/donate, and let's overwhelm them. Let's send so much money that they can't keep up with it. Uhuru.
Absolutely. Uhuru, Chairman. And I do want to say we did get another $100 donation. So we're that much closer to our goal.
From APSC.
From APSC, absolutely. And then And then we've got about 2 minutes left. I just wanted to ask, so why the struggle for African people is one for power? I feel like a lot of people kind of misunderstand what this struggle is all about.
Thank you very much. And people should know that if you donate $200, that you get this book that we're talking about right now. This question of self-government, self-reliance, anti-colonialism is a critical question. Because this was something that we've known for a very long time. I mean, there have always been two tendencies in the struggle for Black people in this country since we've been here. One tendency was try to find a good way to get along, to make it more comfortable, to get the rulers to be kinder to us and things like that, to like us more. And the other was that the struggle has to be to get our own freedom. And we get our freedom whether anybody likes us or not, that we have to like ourselves enough to fight and take our freedom. We have to be in control of our own lives, that any people with any sense of dignity has that responsibility. And so that's what we're fighting for. That's what we've always been about. That's the thing that makes what we do so problematic, not only to sometimes the government who will want to kill us and lock us up as they have done in the past, but also to white liberals and white people sometimes who are made uncomfortable because they never heard Black people speaking for ourselves before, because there's always been a gun to our head that says what you can't say and what you can't say, or they'll take you off the airwaves like they did on July 29th, right there in St. Petersburg, Florida. So the question of self-government, self-reliance, anti-colonialism is a critical question. That's what we stand for. That's what we're fighting for. Black people, like all other people, crave more than anything to be a self-reliant people, a self-governing people in charge of our own affairs, as opposed to having the white man stand over us or any other oppressor standing over us and determining what our future is going to be, whether it's a good slave master, if there's such a thing, or a bad slave master. The thing is that we want to end slavery and have our people have control of our own lives. Uhuru, thank you.
Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, leader and founder of the Uhuru Movement. It has been such an honor to have you on this live episode of Reparations in Action. We are at 3:56, so we're going to be closing out in just about 4 minutes. I want to remind everyone to continue to go to blackpower96.org/donate. You can also use Cash App. You can send to $BlackPower96, capital B, capital P. That's $BlackPower96. Or you can make a checkout to Black Power 96, and you can mail it to 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33705, or you can go to that address, 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, and drop off the resources that you want to contribute. And I want to thank all the people who have contributed so far, including Jesse, Penny, Lisa, Brendan, Mary Ellen, John, Sandy, Ember, Ann, and the African People's Solidarity Committee. And if there's anyone that I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. We appreciate you so much, everyone who has contributed and who's tuned in and will continue to contribute. Before I close it out, are there any closing remarks from you, Chairwoman Penny or Chairman Omali Yeshitela? We have just about 2 minutes left.
I just want to call on everybody anybody that hears this after this is over, continue to go to blackpower96.org and donate. We have not made our $1,000. We can make it. We need you to go there and take a stand of reparations to African people, return the stolen resources that belong to African people, as the chairman so eloquently laid out. And Chairman, do you have any last words?
Uhuru, I just want to express my joy at your being on this radio station. I think it's incredibly important, not necessarily what you might be saying to white people, but Africans, because we're establishing different kinds of standards. Usually white people have so much power that often African people say what they think white people want to hear them say. To hear this movement on this radio station, this radio show, gives the African people a recognition that we can demand what is rightfully ours, and don't have to be, hesitant about doing that for fear that white people will be opposed to it. In fact, what we're finding is that we've given so many white people an opportunity to break with their oppressive past and to join with the future, which is our future. So send the money, blackpower96.org/donate. Please make your generous contributions right now. We need the money for the station, and we need the money for you. You need to give the money also. You feel so much better afterwards. Thank you so much, Uhuru.
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 We have just a few seconds left. Eddie Maultsby is still on. If you have any last words to jump in to Mr. Eddie. I don't know if he's can hear us or is on, but maybe not.
All right. Well, if he joins us, please just jump in if you're able to, Station Manager Eddie. But in the meantime, I just want to say a profound thank you to Chairman Omali Yeshitela. I want to say thank you to Station Manager Eddie Maultsby. Thank you to everyone who contributed and tuned in. Thank you, Chairwoman Penny Hess and Comrade Brendan McCoy. My name's Jamie Simpson. This has been Reparations in Action. Oh, wait, Station Manager Eddie, did you want to say something before we close out?
Jamie, yes, I just wanted to appreciate.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think we can hear you. Try again.
Appreciate you, Jamie, and this organization, the Uhuru Movement, the African Party, the African People Education and Defense Fund, the baddest nonprofit around. If you're going to donate to any nonprofit, this should be the nonprofit that you donate to, because this radio is under that umbrella of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, one of the baddest nonprofit around. And what better nonprofit than that can support African people? White people supporting African people. I want to thank the chairman of Omali Yeshitela for his leadership. It's important people see that white people are standing under the leadership of African people. That is profound and very important, that little black girls and black boys can see that white people are supporting us, because we do deserve liberation, and we're going to get liberation any means necessary. So this station is a part of that. And again, if you are somewhere in the vicinity of this station, I ask you all the time, bang, bang, knock, knock on the door, show your support. Go, there's many ways to support this station. You can go on the web, go to blackpower96.org/donate. Let me slow that down, blackpower96.org/donate, or use our Cash App. Cash your money to our Cash App. It's $blackpower96. I'm calling out the preachers. I'm calling out the deacons. I'm calling out the sports world. I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Buccaneers. Send some of the Bucks from the Buccaneers near to Black Power 96.3 radio station. Because we need it, Jamie. We need it right here. Keep going. It's a movement. It's a power. The power, don't get scared because you hear Black Power. Be scared because you are afraid to do the right thing, and the right white people be important to your own life and your own democracy. You talk about freedom. Here is freedom in a word called Uhuru. Don't be afraid of it. Give to it. Support it. Black people their entire life to support white people, and not because we wanted to. We was forced to by gun, by any means necessary. They did it. So look, listen, and pay attention. Black people, we on the rise, and the only way we're going to be self-governed if to be united with ourselves. Thank you, Jamie. I love you guys, and I appreciate all you do for this movement. Uhuru.
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 Station Manager Eddie. Much revolutionary love to you, comrade. It's such an honor to be on this program of white solidarity with Black Power. Black Power is anti-oppression power, as Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said. So thank you to everyone, to our esteemed guests. This has been the live episode of Reparations in Action on Black Power 96 WBPU LP St. Petersburg. We'll see you next time.